And we're back with another episode of the Dope Individuals Only podcast. I'm Eric, of course, the host. And it's just me today. And I just came back from a funeral. That's why I got a black button up on. That's also why I'm talking in the car right now. I left my house keys at the job and I couldn't get access to my computers. I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to come on here and do something quick because I got something heavy on my heart that I want to get off. In the past couple episodes, the topic of death has come up a couple times. And in the last episode, for everybody who didn't watch, with Preem, which hasn't dropped yet, but it'll be out soon, um, we talked about death and we got into it a little bit. Um, and as I said, today I ended up at a funeral. I should say ended up, that sounds wrong, but my godmother's stepfather passed away. He had an accident and he never recovered. And I've known the man pretty much my entire life. I didn't have too many engagements with him because I wasn't always at her mother's house that often. But as a child, I spent a decent amount of time over there. And as an adult, we always seen each other at like family events and things like that. But we couldn't communicate because he only spoke Spanish. So the engagements were sparing, but um, they were always positive engagements. A lot of smiles, hugs, love, regardless of whether we could have a full length conversation or not. Um, and I sat in the back row today and I just watched his wife speak, which me and his wife have a much closer relationship than him and I. Um, but I watched her speak and I couldn't help but to like look at her and look at the TV above her head, going through all the photos that they shared throughout their life together in the 23, almost 24 years that they spent together. And and I couldn't help but to feel like one day, you know, my wife's going to be in that exact same position, and there's going to be a room full of people sitting there speaking on me and my engagements and everything like that and how I impacted them in some way, shape, or form. And even though his body laid there stiff and cold and he didn't look like the man he was, the life that he brought to everybody that was in that room today is what I truly believe life is all about. We only get so many years to be here. He only lived to be 57. And I would hope that I could live longer than 57 years, but if that's all I got, I hope that the impact that I leave behind will be felt for hundreds. I know his will because of his children and his wife and his grandchildren, his co-workers and his family and everything they had to say about him. And it really made me think about like my impact as a person, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a neighbor, as a coworker, as a boss, whatever. And the type of impact I want to leave behind and what I would like people to say about me when it's all said and done. And it also made me feel and think about how although the body dies, death isn't the end. And I say that because there's plenty of people that will be able to tell his story for years to come, despite him not being here to tell it himself, despite him not being here to show you himself. You know, the only time I think a person truly dies is when they're forgotten. And if you're forgotten, that means that you may not have done enough to leave an impression on a single person. And I'm not saying you should do things solely so people can talk about you when you're gone, because I think getting your flowers while you're here is far more important. So at least that way, you know. But the legacy is as important because we know our time here is very limited. We know we're only going to get, if we're lucky, 75 years. And that's if we're lucky. By the time I was age 21, I had buried at least 9 friends. Some of them have never even made it to 18. So, I became really numb to death and people close to me dying. And that also led into me having a really bad fear of my own demise at some time. And I have better days than others, but for the most part, I'm okay with the idea of that one day I'm not going to be here. But I carry that into my everyday life, so that way I know that I'm using my time as wisely as I know how to. And some days are better than others. I notice it a lot in those moments where I get home from work and I'm beat and my kids want to go to the park, but all I want to do is sit on the couch and decompress. And yeah, sometimes I tell them no. Sometimes I have to tell them no for my own sanity and my own mental health and physical well-being. But there's other times that I want to say no because of those same reasons. And I sit here and then I think to myself, how can I tell my kids that they should take advantage of this time of being here with me because I'm not going to be here forever? Yet every time they ask me for something, I tell them no for my own personal reasons. That's something I try to have some self accountability to, because it's very easy for me to get hung up in my own life. But me getting those opportunities to take my kids for a walk down the block or to the park and watch them play are those moments that seem so small, yet they will carry on for them. They will carry with them for the rest of their lives. And that's what I mean when I talk about the impact that we leave behind. You know, the public accolades are cool. The recognition from people is cool. But when it's all said and done, that funeral home is only going to be able to hold so many people. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the ones that are closest to you that get to come in there and tell your story to the few who remember to show up on that day, to remind everybody of how dope of an individual you were, how beautiful of a soul you were, how trustworthy of a person you were, how loving of a spirit you were, and everything in between. I felt really compelled to record this, and as I was driving, just trying to get to somewhere where I could get on a camera and put on a microphone, I had all these thoughts about how this would sound, but it's hard. It's hard because watching somebody else perish makes this life even more real, even though every day we wake up and we feel it. We feel life. We go through the hardships and we rock with the boat. Damn. It don't matter whether they close or not, it always feels the same. It always feels like, when is it my turn? And it's a battle that you have to go through internally to not harbor on that eventual end, but to make these moments that we have now worth living a life at all. I want to say rest in peace to Francisco. And my heart is with Wita, his wife, and my godmother Rosa, and my brother Darius and Kiko and Raul and Izzy and Anissa, everybody. My heart is with all of you guys. You know, it's these moments that make this life worth living. It's these moments that should be bringing us closer. It's these moments that should really help us value this thing we call life, because it's fragile and it's fast. And it's a blessing to be able to get up and hear that alarm go off in the morning, even though it's Monday. And I do my best to wake up when that alarm goes off and not feel like fuck, just as many of us do. But there's one video that always rings in my head right after I have that thought. And it's that video of that dude fucking running outside in the wilderness, in the snow, with no shirt on and just shorts. And he's screaming, "We woke up, we woke up, we woke up." And I hear that shit and I jump out of bed. Whereas I open up the door to walk outside to go turn the cars on and it's raining. And the first thing I think of is, thank you for sunshine, thank you for rain, thank you for joy, thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day, it's a beautiful day. Be grateful that we're here. Be grateful that we got an opportunity to make this life worth living. And the way we do that is by simply living. Peace and love. RIP to Francisco again. My heart goes out to everybody. Love the whole family. Rest in peace for anybody that just lost somebody. My condolences. Peace and love to you guys. I'm here for you. Feel free to jump in my inbox. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it takes a village. We're going to get through this shit together because we all going to do the same things. We all going to come into this life and we all going to leave it. That's a fact. But the one thing we could do is have a little compassion for each other on the way, because we never know what anybody's going through. But I guarantee we can all relate to what somebody's going through. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you're still amongst the stars. Peace.